It's midnight. The neighborhood is completely silent. Then you hear it. The generator 2 streets over finally sputters out. Your neighbor's fuel ran out days ago. Yours ran out yesterday. Your child has been running a fever for 4 days. There's a cut on her arm that's starting to look infected. Red edges, swollen. You know she needs antibiotics, but the pharmacy has been closed for 3 weeks. The hospital is overwhelmed, and the last supply truck came through town and left with more people than supplies. You reach for your phone to transfer some money, maybe find someone who can help. Payment systems have been down since Tuesday. Your crypto wallet is inaccessible. Somewhere in a drawer there's a gold coin you bought years ago as an investment. Nobody wants it, but the quiet guy 2 houses down has become the most important person on the block. Not because he has weapons or a bunker, not because he's ex-military, because he has a small brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide and people are lining up at his door. That's not a doomsday fantasy. Versions of that exact scenario have played out in Venezuela, in Bosnia, in Argentina. Ordinary people who woke up one day and realized the world they knew had quietly stopped working. And every single time, the things that mattered most were never the things anyone expected. Today, we're walking through 11 dirt-cheap, everyday items that turn into genuine survival currency the moment modern systems stop functioning. Not food, not water, the obvious stuff everyone already talks about. These are the overlooked items sitting on dollar store shelves right now that most people will completely ignore until it's too late. Stay until the end because the last few on this list are going to change the way you think about preparation entirely. Welcome to U.S.A. Prepper. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. And if this video opens your eyes, drop a like. It helps more people find this information when they actually need it. Let's get into it. Most people imagine collapse like a movie scene, one dramatic moment, a crash, a news anchor with wide eyes. They think they'll see it coming and have time to react. That's almost never how it happens. Real collapse is slow. It bleeds into ordinary life so gradually that most people don't recognize it until they're already deep inside it. It starts with small things that feel temporary. The card machine at the gas station is down again. The grocery store is out of more things than usual. Shipments get delayed, then delayed again, then they just stop. The corner store goes from having everything to canned peaches and stale crackers. The ATM runs dry and isn't refilled for 2 weeks. The pharmacy starts rationing, and before anyone has officially called it a crisis, you're already living in one. That's the pattern. That's how it always goes. And by the time the headlines catch up to reality, the window to prepare has already closed. Now, here's where most people's thinking completely breaks down, because when we imagine preparing for hard times, we think about money, gold, silver, investment accounts, maybe crypto. We think in terms of financial value, the kind we've been taught our whole lives to protect. But in a real collapse, that entire framework disappears almost immediately. History doesn't lie about this. In Venezuela, people were trading family heirlooms and gold jewelry for basic necessities, not luxuries, toilet paper, cooking oil, a single roll of gauze. During the siege of Sarajevo in the 1990s, a city of 500,000 people cut off and under fire, a single disposable lighter was worth a month of food rations. A month for a piece of plastic that costs less than $1. These aren't ancient stories. They're recent, documented, real human experiences, and they all point to the same truth. When modern systems fail, the value of anything is determined by one thing only: its ability to solve an immediate, real-world problem. Not its price tag, not its prestige, what it can actually do for you right now in the conditions you're living in. A gold bar cannot boil water. A stock portfolio cannot close a wound. A crypto wallet cannot keep your family warm. But the right simple items can, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. Starting with fire, because modern life has made fire completely invisible to us. We flip a switch, turn a dial, press a button. We don't think about fire as a resource anymore, but strip away electricity and infrastructure, and suddenly fire becomes the most critical resource in your daily survival. It's warmth when temperatures drop. It's how you cook food safely. It's how you purify water. It's light, it's signaling, and psychologically, it's an anchor when everything feels like it's falling apart. The best tool for making fire reliably under pressure isn't matches, which get wet and run out fast. It's not a fancy flint kit that takes practice and technique. It's a cheap plastic Bic lighter, sealed units impervious to humidity, functional in the cold, no skill required, thousands of lights before they die. In a barter economy, they're small, standardized, and universally needed. Buy them in bulk, vacuum seal them with a silica gel packet, distribute some at home, some in your car, some in your bag. They only gain value over time. Right alongside fire comes the ability to repair things. We live in a throwaway culture. Something breaks, we replace it. But in a prolonged crisis, replacement isn't an option. The jacket keeping you warm isn't getting replaced. The backpack carrying everything you need isn't getting replaced. When those things fail under hard use, and they will, the ability to fix them is the difference between being protected and being exposed. Needle and thread, a basic sewing kit that weighs nothing and never expires. A few fundamental stitches and you can repair clothing, gear, straps, and bags.
But here's what most people don't consider. In field medicine, when professional care is unavailable, basic wound closure with sterilized thread has saved lives. It's not ideal, but in a world where ideal isn't available, it's what you have. Then there are zip ties, the unsung hero of improvised everything. Rope has its place, paracord has its place, but when you need something secured fast with hands that might be cold or injured or shaking, nothing beats a zip tie. They secure doors, reinforce shelters, serve emergency medical applications, and keep your gear organized. And in a crisis, disorganization wastes time and energy that you simply cannot afford to waste. Buy them in multiple sizes. They're cheap by the hundred and solve problems in seconds. Now moving into the category where resourcefulness meets hygiene, because in a real collapse, these two things become dangerously connected. Aluminum foil sounds almost silly until you actually think through what it does. It reflects body heat back toward you, which can be the difference between hypothermia and making it through the night. It creates a solar oven using nothing but sunlight, letting you cook without any fuel at all. It's waterproof, it protects supplies from moisture, and it's a signaling device visible from miles away. Medically, it's antibacterial, useful for protecting burns and creating sterile barriers. Multiple roles, almost no weight, extraordinary versatility. Then hydrogen peroxide, and if one item on this list deserves to be taken most seriously, it might be this one. Here's a fact that most people don't fully absorb until they've really thought through collapse scenarios. Infection kills more people in the aftermath of a major disaster than violence does, more than starvation. A cut that gets dirty, a tooth that abscesses, a wound that isn't properly cleaned, these are trivial problems today and potentially fatal ones without medical infrastructure. Hydrogen peroxide kills bacteria, viruses, fungi, and spores. It's safe for direct wound use, it purifies water, it sanitizes surfaces and tools without leaving toxic residue. Stored in sealed brown bottles in a cool, dark place, it maintains potency for years. This is not an exaggeration. A single bottle of hydrogen peroxide could be the most valuable item you own when medical systems disappear. Stock it accordingly. And then sewing machine oil, something almost nobody puts on a prep list. Think about every tool and piece of equipment you depend on, every moving part. All of it requires lubrication to keep working. When gears seize and locks jam and blades drag, you lose capability at exactly the moment you need it most. Sewing machine oil is lightweight, long-lasting, and designed for precision equipment. It doesn't gum up, doesn't attract dirt, and works on knives, firearms, hand tools, and locks. In documented disaster scenarios, lubricating oil became a high-value barter item because everyone had mechanical problems and almost nobody had the means to solve them. Distribute small dropper bottles across your kits. They seal completely and never expire. Now the micro tools. Items so small they seem beneath consideration, but dismissing them is a mistake because their applications are wildly disproportionate to their size. Safety pins are a perfect example. A piece of hardened spring steel strong enough to hold real tension, small enough to carry dozens without noticing. That's a fishing hook, a trap trigger, a deer fastener, a zipper repair, a bandage anchor. Sterilized, it handles the small medical procedures that become surprisingly common when people are living rough, removing splinters, draining minor infections. Buy them in bulk in multiple sizes. They're reusable, they never expire, and solve problems you won't anticipate until you're facing them. Chapstick deserves far more respect than it gets. Cracked, bleeding lips are open infection pathways in one of the most exposed parts of your body. But beyond that, lip balm is an excellent fire-starting aid. It waterproofs matches, it protects metal from rust, lubricates sticky zippers, stops small cuts from bleeding, and applied to feet before a long march, it dramatically reduces blisters. Maintaining mobility is non-negotiable in a survival scenario, and the morale value alone is worth noting. Small comforts matter enormously under sustained stress. Something as simple as chapstick can be a genuine psychological lifeline. Dental floss is one of the most underestimated items in any kit. Unwaxed floss holds 6 to 8 pounds of tension. Waxed reaches 12. It resists moisture and bacteria. It works as fishing line, snare wire, trip wire, emergency suture material, gear lashing, and improvised bootlaces. The container itself is waterproof and useful for storing small items once the floss is gone. Zero weight, maximum versatility. And then 2 items most people walk right past in their own kitchens. White vinegar, a natural disinfectant that kills the majority of bacteria, a wide range of viruses, and all known mold. In a world without commercial cleaning products, it becomes your primary defense against disease in your living environment. It also preserves food through pickling, treats fungal infections, soothes insect bites, reduces fever, neutralizes chemical irritants, removes rust from metal, and can function as a battery electrolyte in a genuine emergency. Store it by the gallon, shelf-stable for years, extremely cheap, and its value compounds as other supplies run out. And finally, baking soda, which might genuinely be the most versatile item on the entire list. Start with dental health, because this is critically underestimated. A dental abscess can kill a person when antibiotics aren't available. Baking soda keeps teeth clean, neutralizes the acid that causes decay, and treats early-stage gum infections. It treats heartburn and acid reflux, both of which spike when people are under stress and eating differently. It soothes burns and rashes, irrigates wounds, and is a chemical neutralizer for both acids and bases, potentially life-saving in chemical burn situations. It cleans, deodorizes, and in cooking it tenderizes meat and helps legumes cook faster. Store it in airtight containers. It lasts indefinitely. It costs almost nothing. So now you know what these items are and why they matter. The question is what you actually do about it. And here's the honest answer. Don't try to do everything at once. That leads to disorganized stockpiles, wasted money, and items you don't know how to use. Real preparation isn't an event. It's a slow, consistent build over time. Start with 3 items from this list, the 3 that address the gaps most relevant to your situation. Buy a reasonable quantity, and before you buy more of anything, actually learn how to use what you have. Not theoretically, practice. Understand the multiple applications of each item so that knowledge is already in your hands when you need it. Then expand gradually. As you build, think seriously about storage. Lighters vacuum sealed with silica gel. Hydrogen peroxide rotated every 2 years. Supplies distributed across your home, your vehicle, and your emergency kit. Because if one location is lost or inaccessible, the others are still there. And share the knowledge with the people in your household, because 2 people who know how to do things are far more valuable than 1 person with a full stockpile and no one to help. Here's the final thought, and it's the most important one. None of this is about fear. Genuine preparation is the opposite of fear. It's what makes fear unnecessary. You have car insurance not because you expect to crash every time you drive, but because you're a rational person who understands that complex systems sometimes fail, and a modest investment today protects everything you care about tomorrow. A spare tire, a smoke detector, a first aid kit.
Nobody calls those paranoid, they're just what thoughtful people do. This is the same thing. Every item on this list costs almost nothing. Combined, they cost less than most people spend on a single night out. They sit quietly in a drawer or a bag and do absolutely nothing until the day they do everything. The people who navigate hard times best are never the ones with the most money or the fanciest gear. They're the ones who understood early, quietly, without drama, that practical knowledge and practical tools are the real foundation of security. When everyone else is scrambling for solutions, you'll already have them. That's not just surviving, that's thriving when the world around you is barely hanging on. Stay practical, stay prepared, and we'll see you in the next one.